Week 4 of the 2023-24 NBA season is over, which means it's time to run it back. This is Run It Back, NBA Week in Review. I'm Jose Salviati, editor at thepeachbasket.net. This is a show where we recap the week that was in the NBA and then discuss the NBA question of the day as we prepare for the weeks to come. This season, we'll have a guest join us each week. Today, I'm excited to welcome a fan expert covering the Cleveland Cavaliers, Roger Straz. Roger, how are you?
I'm doing great. I mean, the Cavaliers won 2 in a row, so everything's great in Cleveland at the moment. I appreciate you having me on and giving me the ability to talk about something I love, basketball.
Happy to do it. I do want to call out that your latest Cavs article started with hooray. You know, the Cavs won 2 in a row. So that's definitely a worthwhile read for Cavalier fans, and we'll make sure to link it below so you could read all of Roger's takes. But let's take a look at week number 4, right? Week number 4 in the NBA is over. We start like we always do with the only objective NBA power rankings anywhere. You can read about how we get to these ratings and why we call them objective by going to thepeachbasket.net. But these are, again, obviously they're objective. They're not subjective. There's no opinion here. It's just based on wins and losses, where you won, where you lost. These, in our opinion, are the best power rankings out there. Let's take a look at who landed where. We'll start by calling out that there are 2 teams out and 2 teams in. The Brooklyn Nets and the Golden State Warriors are out this week, and the Houston Rockets and the Sacramento Kings are in. Let's see where they land in this week's top 10 after week number 4. We'll start with a newcomer, the Sacramento Kings. After a 3-0 week in week 4, jump up to number 10. I think the Kings belong there. They are a good team. The Rockets are a bit of a surprise. They're good this season. 1-1 in week number 4. 54 overall. Moves them up to number 9. The Mavericks had a little bit of a dip. They dropped to number 8 after a 2-2 week, but no concerns in Dallas. They're still 9-4 overall. The Knicks, number 7, that's where they were last week after a 4-1 week. They worked hard to stay there, 8-5 overall. Coming in at number 6 are the Denver Nuggets. And it's a bit of a drop for them, dropping 5-5 after a rough week, 1-2, but still no concerns in Denver. Moving up, the Indiana Pacers come in at number 5, 1-1 in week number 4, 7-4 overall. Dropping are the 76ers down to number 4 after a 2-2 week. No concerns in Philly. They're 9-3 and doing good. Moving up are their Eastern Conference rival Boston Celtics. They move up 2 spots after an undefeated 3-0 week in week number 4. The Oklahoma City Thunder, not a misprint, had a perfect week, 4-0, 9-4 overall, moved all the way up 6 spots to number 2. And the best defensive team in the NBA. Look it up if you don't believe me. The Minnesota Timberwolves come in at number 1, 3-1 in week number 4. There are your top 10 after week number 4. Roger, let me ask you, as you look at this list, I know Cleveland isn't on there. Short of that, any surprises, anything you take issue with?
No, I think that Minnesota come out strong. So is Oklahoma City. Boston, I think the way that they've blown away teams, I feel 3 might be a little low. They seem to have depth that can score, off the bench as well, and they put up big numbers. But yeah, it's kind of difficult because it's like to admit, but Indiana has played really, really well. To see them, take out the Cavs twice already, so I think they deserve to be in the top 10. And the Knicks are pretty good, and they played 5 games last week and went 4 wins. That's a pretty good week out of that.
Yeah, I think the Knicks are a little better than they were last year, and they did pretty good last year. Again, I'm not a West Coast guy, but based on the snippets that I've seen, I think they look really good. And I'm glad you called out Boston, right? Boston is beating teams by a lot, but in these objective power rankings, it doesn't matter if you win by 50 or win by 1. All that matters is the W. We take that out of it because I think over the course of an 82-game season, you're going to get blown out. I don't care who you are. I watched Michael Jordan miss a wide open dunk. The weird things can happen. Teams that are good are going to lose. Teams that are bad are going to win. So we don't care about the number or how wide the margin of victory is in these rankings. We just care about the W or the L. So I'm glad you called that out because, I can see Boston Celtic fans getting angry with me because of what you pointed out. But these are objective. We don't care how much you win by. It's just the W, man. But that's it. Good. Again, if you want to see where your team landed, if your team isn't here, we do have all 30 teams listed. Just go to thepeachbasket.net. You'll learn about why it's objective, although we talked a little bit about it already. And you can see the whole list, all 30 teams. But now let's turn our focus to the players. These are the best to do it by average in week number 4 of the 2023-24 NBA season. Now, I want to call this out because I got into a little bit of a debate about this on TikTok with somebody, and grateful to him for having called this out. These are the best to do it by average in week number 4, right? So this isn't the guy who's leading the NBA in points, assists. That's not what this is. This is the guy who led the NBA in points, assists, etc. in week 4. So just over the course of anywhere between 1 to 4 games, or 5, I guess, if you're the Knicks. So that's what this is, the best to do it by average in week number 4. Let's take a look at who did it best in week number 4 by average. There they are.
Here comes
Jordan Clarkson, 33.5 points per game. He's an offensive machine, and we thought it was okay. Assist, Tyrese Halliburton. He's been here before. He'll be here again. He's incredible. 16 assists per game, led the NBA in week number 4. Here's another guy who's going to be here again and again and again. Nikola Jokic, 17.7 rebounds per game. It's unbelievable. The Claw, he's back. He hasn't missed a game this season, and he's playing really, really well for the Clippers. Brook Lopez led the NBA in blocks, and he'll be here again and again and again, 4.5 blocks per game. Those are your leaders in week 4 by average. Roger, I'll ask you again, any surprises there for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a surprise to me personally because I've seen him play over a long time, but Lopez in Milwaukee is sneaky dominant defender down low. And you wouldn't think so because he's changed his game to be a three-point shooter, and he doesn't strike fear like some other bigs around the league do, but he protects the rim really well, and it's not a surprise for me that he's on the list, but he definitely doesn't get the flowers that I guess he does for being the defensive stalwart that he is.
What a great call out. You know, he played here. I'm an LA guy. I'm an West Coast guy. Roger, you're an East Coast guy. So he played here with the Lakers. And, you know, I don't think he was very well appreciated when, you know, during his time here at the Lakers. And I'll be real honest with you. When I started to calculate these best by average, I would see him show up and block. And I had to double, triple check my numbers because I didn't remember him being that good. And maybe he wasn't in LA. I don't know. I have to go back and see it, to be real honest. But he is incredible in Milwaukee. He is regularly in this, you know, top blocks per average blocks season in, season out. Yeah, you're right. He's really, really good. And I don't think he gets the credit he deserves across the board. Really good. Well, okay. Those are the best to do it by average. Now let's take a look at the best to do it. We've scoured the internet. We looked at a lot of tape, a lot of games. And in week number 4, these are the best to do it. The best dunk, the best dime, the best deny, the best dagger, the best dazzler, and the dud of the NBA week in week number 4. Okay, not the best by average. These are the best to do it. Let's see who did it best in week number 4 of the NBA. And let's see if y'all agree. The best dagger, James Harden. This was an easy one.
This is for the lead.
The Clippers were winless in November until Harden did that. The best dime. Now watch this. I'm not even saying anything. A 360 behind the back dime. Unbelievable. The best dunk. I like this because it was on Clint Capella. Not an easy guy to dunk on. Now LeBron has the deny of week number 4 because he shouldn't be doing stuff like this. He just shouldn't be doing stuff like this. And then the dazzler. Cat with the 3. Unbelievable. They went on to win in overtime. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about the dud and the question of the day. We'll save our commentary for that. But those are the best to do it in a week number 4. Let me just call out again. There were better denies. There were better blocks in the NBA, I think. I've seen a few in week number 4. But LeBron, what he's doing at this stage of his career, chase down blocks against one of the best, power forward centers in the league in Sabonis. You're just not supposed to do that. That's what 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds do. LeBron doing what he does is absolutely incredible. You're a Cavs fan. I can't help but think you'd agree with that sentiment, Roger.
Yeah, he's doing his whole career, and most recently, actually, this is not just like a one-time a season thing. He did to Sabonis just this week, but I was watching a game, I think the Heat versus the Lakers a couple weeks back, and Hero, who is 13 years younger than him, was going up for a layup, and he came back and blocked it. And this was, Tyler Hero's now full strength. It's not like he's coming off injury anymore. Like the man's amazing, and he's actually kind of like the embodiment of what load management can do to extend those years into the 30, 35 plus year range. I mean, if he can keep doing this, he might be playing with Bronny or Bryce in the next couple of years and still be chasing guys down.
I wouldn't put it past him. I think what's incredible about Bron is how much work he puts into, and he doesn't, he's very open about it, right? He spends a lot of time, a lot of money so that he can do this with the longevity that he has. And it's amazing. I've been waiting to see his downward spiral begin for seasons, multiple seasons, and I just don't see it. He has absolutely carried the Los Angeles Lakers this season, with a couple of pockets where AD took over. But what he's doing is amazing, which is why he got the absolute best dunk of week number 4. But let's turn our attention now to the question. I'm sorry, Roger.
There's one more thing, because I don't know if we're going to get into the in-season tournament, but the way that LeBron's playing right now, it looks like he's on a mission to win the first inaugural in-season tournament and have another thing on his resume that Michael Jordan may not have. So just putting it out there,
Great point.
he's looking to get that legacy cemented for sure.
Great point. Yeah, the Lakers were undefeated in the in-season tournament. They look to most likely be the team that's going to move out of their group. And when you start putting, and this is, I was talking to somebody else about this. I can't remember who with the in-season tournament, but there hasn't been a whole lot of excitement around it based on the people I've talked to. But I think when you get to the knockout round and when you get to December 9th, the final, there's going to be some excitement around that, because when something's on the line and there's money on the line, there's a trophy on the line, there's prestige on the line, there's the first to do it on the line. For LeBron, if he gets to that game, there's GOAT status on the line, right?
Yep.
It's going to be a fun game. And I think people will start to fall in love with the in-season tournament because so far collectively, I don't think NBA fans are. But great call out. And we did have that. And I will mention, this is why Roger, I think, maybe brought that up. We had that as the question of the day. We were going to talk in-season tournament, but we shifted at the last minute because the Draymond Green situation. The question of the NBA question of the day today was Draymond Green justified in any way for his chokehold on Rudy Gobert? Now, I brought this out at the last minute as the question of the day because it continues. This is news. It's newsworthy. It's been news since it happened. Last night, SNL parodied it. So it's going to just continue to grow. Now, fans who don't know the NBA are going to start asking about, well, what was that thing on SNL last night? What did Draymond Green do now? So this is top of mind for NBA, for better or for worse. So, Roger, you get first crack at it. Let me ask you, was Draymond Green justified in any way for his chokehold on Rudy Gobert?
Yeah, first off, I guess we should ask, is it more popular than the in-season tournament, this topic? Because it's definitely catching a lot of headlines and all that, for better or for worse. When I first saw it, I guess I was a bit confused on the whole what ended up happening, because the way it played out is that they tipped off. I think one shot went up and it was still scoreless. And then all of a sudden everything broke out, and it was kind of one of those I don't know. It felt like one of those NHL fights where there were some sort of bad blood that was brewing before the game, previous games and whatnot. Just kind of, they're like, okay, gloves off, let's go.
Yeah.
But in also reviewing it, throughout the week, it seems that it didn't seem too justified from what I could tell, because Rudy did grab, I think, Klay Thompson by the neck or the shirt, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, from the top rope comes NBA villain Draymond Green to take him out. And in my opinion, I don't think it was completely justified. But based on the league office and the fact that they fined Rudy $25,000, it seemed to show that he had some fault in whatever happened. And I'll leave it kind of there, because I know that from what I kind of went through, it seems that there is some jealousy out of Draymond, possibly on the part of Rudy Gobert, because Rudy Gobert will go down as a Hall of Famer, and he's a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. But their careers kind of overlapped, and I wonder if Draymond feels that if there is no Rudy Gobert, maybe he gets a couple more Defensive Player of the Year,
Wow.
completely kind of solidifies his Hall of Fame chances, which I think he still is a Hall of Famer based on the fact he's got the 4 rings and was part of one of the best teams or best runs of teams in NBA history for a franchise. And I think possibly there might be some of that at play. And I'm not exactly sure what's going on in Draymond's mind a lot, because there's a lot of things he does that confuses a lot of fans. But that's all I could gather from what I've looked at this week. And yeah, I think possibly 10 games would have been more justified in my opinion. 5 seems a bit light for Draymond.
Wow. Okay, so much to unpack there. Let me start with your take, which I've never heard before, and I'm fascinated by it, but it makes sense, right? It makes sense. Rudy Gobert and Draymond Green are both, defensive stalwarts. They absolutely are great at what they do. And I could see, when you get at that level, right, you're so hyper competitive that I could see where, there's a little animosity there because of, Rudy Gobert getting things that maybe Draymond felt he deserved. It's a great take. I never heard that before. That aside, because again, phenomenal take. The question being, was Draymond justified in any way? Now, let me tell you, when I first saw this, I didn't see it live, but I saw it, immediately after it happened. I saw Jaden McDaniels get, basically collared by Klay Thompson. So I think, the root cause of this was like Klay Thompson. I think he lost his cool. You don't grab somebody by the neck. And Jaden McDaniels reacted the way anybody would. Now, it's maybe over the top reaction, but you're going to react. And then they started going at it. And what I saw was Rudy Gobert go in and try to be the peacemaker. Now, generally, you grab a player, you hug him, right? Now, Rudy Gobert, being tall, he went to hug Klay and wrapped his head around his neck. Didn't look good. So Draymond came in and basically did the same thing. So again, I want to be very, very careful here. Was he justified in any way? Yeah, man, I think Draymond, when you see that happen, you go in and grab a guy, right? So he was justified in doing it. In my estimation, at least he had some justification. But you got to go for a guy's neck when he's 7'2", right? So Draymond, if he just would have wrapped his head around his chest, I don't think we're having this conversation. Wrapped his hands around his chest, but he went up. He grabbed his neck, and then he held him down. And then you see that image of him, which I think is, you can kind of see here if you happen to be on video. He looks angry. He looks like there's something deeper going on there with that chokehold. So, was he justified anyway? Listen, I think he was trying to do the right thing, get in there, stop a skirmish. So there's justification for that, not justification for how he did it. But yeah, interesting to say. I think you're right. Draymond Green is a future Hall of Famer. I don't think there's any denying that. I just think it's difficult because this is how he's going to be remembered, right? He won't be remembered for the rings. He won't be remembered for the incredible defense. I think he's going to be remembered for this kind of stuff. Much in the same way that Dennis Rodman kind of is. He was a phenomenal rebounder, an incredible cog in that Chicago Bulls championships. But he's kind of remembered for the stuff that he did outside of the game, at least for fans that aren't real fans of the NBA. But interesting conversation, interesting take. That is it. Week number 4 of the 2023-24 NBA season is in the books. Roger, thank you so much for coming. Great conversation. Follow Roger, read his stuff. If you're a Cleveland Cavaliers fan and you're not familiar with Roger Straz, you need to be. We'll certainly, again, link his stuff down below. But please join us next week when we'll have another guest, or maybe no guest. It's Thanksgiving weekend. We'll see. We'll have to play it by ear. But join us again next week. We will be on regardless after week number 5 when we once again run it back. We'll see you then. Thanks, Roger.
See you, Jose. Thank you.
Attractive like a magnet, tuned in the peach basket, live broadcasting, even podcasting. Got a question, don't hesitate to ask it. Intelligent news with no static. Turn on your tablet when you gotta have it. Drop updates quick like a rabbit. We got the answers. Check out Peach Basket. Peach Basket. Peach Basket.